My name is Harry Davis Anspon, and I went to the University of Maryland, and I graduated from the university with a PhD in organic chemistry and a minor in bacteriology. I got into plastics when I went to work at the U.S. Rubber Company, and it had a research unit which they had placed in Passaic, New Jersey, and this unit was intended to find as many plastics as you could that would be of use to the U.S. Rubber Company. And also the hope was that you could develop something that could improve rubber. I had a man that was supposed to be directing my work, and he had gone and gotten his PhD from the University of Chicago, and when I got there, there were two groups of chemists. The one that I was in had mostly men from the U.S., like they had graduates from Cornell and other universities in the U.S. They had a separate unit that was made with most research people from the West Coast, and there's a man, one of his PhD there was from the University of California, and he was an excellent chemist. He could take a small amount of liquid in a test tube and get more information out of it than some of the rest of us working on normal liquid sizes could. He was that good. And the interesting part was that the man that I was working for, his name was Pliny. Anyway, he saw what this fellow in the group that he didn't have control of was doing, and he was jealous, so that he went to the management and got the chance to get this fellow to work in the groups that he had, myself and research people from Cornell and some other universities. And when this fellow went to work for the Pliny, he had been down to the beach and he collected some specimens on the way down of some insects and things like that. And instead of working on the things that Pliny wanted him to work on, he was working on these things. But since Pliny had gotten him from this other manager, he couldn't say anything to him, because if he did, he would go back to the other manager. So he just kept quiet and endured this fellow doing what he wanted to do. And instead of doing sort of normal, I'd say normal research, instead of the things that most of us have been thrown there to do, the plastics in normal life, he had so many expensive chemists there that the managers up told him, you have to gotta cut down the price of these chemists. So what did they do? They went to one of the men that most big companies keep in Washington to keep track of everything that's going on. And this one that they went to the Naval Research Lab and got a contract. Instead of working on the relatively safe things, we ended up working on a contract for explosives, and none of us were particularly happy. One of the men did some development, and then he one of the fellows with me, and he put it in a package and sent it down to the Naval Research Lab, and they told him, never send that to us by mail because it may go off and you'll blow up all the mail. We're working on explosives and propellants, and this Pliny had an office there in that one end of this research lab, and when we got this Navy contract on explosives, what he did, he had them put some metal safeguards around his desk. But the rest of us doing doing the chemistry, we had no particular safeguards, and one day I was working there, and I had a pretty large glass vessel, and I'm not even sure what I had in it, but I just passed it and was going down to my desk when it went boom, and it scattered glass fragments all over the lab. Well, after that happened, I decided I didn't want any more work there. So I called Dr. Drake, my professor, and said, "Can you get me another job? I don't want this one any longer." So he did, and what he did, he got me a job at General Aniline and Film, and the chemist that replaced me as sort of head of a group of five, he took my place, and after I left, he was conducting an experiment, and the benches, they have a pretty thick marble top on them, so you don't want anything wood or any metal. So this is this marble top, and the man that took my place as head of this small group was conducting an experiment there, and boom, it went off, and it blew part of this thick marble into his stomach, and they rushed him to the hospital, and they saved him, but he had several operations on his stomach area around it. So I had left. I wasn't sure what happened to him, but I called back, and some of the fellows told me what happened, but and that he was finally okay, but he's pretty well patched up. So that's the story of my working for the Naval Research Lab.